Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Dennis. So today we're going to review Be Quiet's Pure Loop water cooler. Alright, it's the 280 millimeter version. There's a 240, there's a 360. I decided the 280 was the one I wanted to give a try to. They did provide it to me. It's not sponsored, but they did provide it to me, just so I'm very clear on that. So let's get to it. Let's unbox it and see what we got. Okay, so here we are. So this is their new CPU cooler, water cooler. 280 millimeters, the one that I wanted to use. And I'm really anxious to see just how good it is. So let's get it out of the box. Okay, so we got our two tabs here. And we've undone everything. So hopefully, oh, there we go. So it opens on either end. So we'll put that one back in. And we'll open it from this one. And let's flip it around. Okay, so what have we got? Of course, we have our radiator, which is going to be right here. Let's get that out. And of course, all this stuff off. So we can really look at it. Very nice. It's a nice brushed white aluminum. I really like it. Of course, Be Quiet on it. And what we got? We got a 3-pin fan connector and a second one. So we got two fan connectors. And let's get this out. Okay, so here's our radiator there. Now, one of the things that they had to do was the pump. So the pump here, as you can see, okay, they had to get away from the patent that is out by Azatec. So they did that. And now one of the things I want to show you, okay, so the thing is this, as you can see this, is it has a little bit of play. See how that goes? So you get a little bit of play in here. So you need to maneuver it around a little bit, you can. All right. And of course, we're going to have this fitting on here. And that'll fit on. I'm going to show you how all this works and how to install it, everything. So just bear with me. So of course, it says, warning, please tear off the tape before you use it. Of course, goes without saying. Once you take this off, I'm going to quickly just show you this real carefully. Okay, so that's your that's what it's going to look like. All right, so let's keep that on there nice and until we use it. 2 screws for mounting it. Okay, so you got 2 screws, one here and one on the bottom. This is going to be pretty cool, actually. Anyway, let's get it all out of the box and we'll go over everything afterward. So let's set this aside for a moment. I will get into more detail after we get everything out of the box. So we have 2 140 millimeter Be Quiet fans. Nice thing about these fans, of course, is it's got the rib design, so it will keep it nice and quiet while it's working. And it does have a bit of tape on here. They just put tape on there to hold the fan. This connects together. So you just hold it in place. So don't forget to take this off. But like I say, I'll show you all that. We have some accessories. We'll get into that in a minute. We have our Be Quiet Pure Loop. Of course, it comes in these sizes, 360 millimeter, 280 millimeter, which is the one we have, 240 and 120 millimeter. So, choice is yours. Now, this, I'm going to show you something pretty cool. So while most water coolers are all self-contained, you don't have to do anything with them, you don't have to fill them, anything like that. This one, you do. But you don't have to do it till after about 2 years or so. and they provide the coolant that's going to go in it. So you don't have to do anything with this. Just set it aside. 2 years down the road, you're going to put it in and you're going to use it and fill it up. And then you're good for another couple of years. So guaranteed, 4 years, it's going to go. I guarantee you that just the way these things work, I've been using one for going on easily 4 years, maybe 5, and now never had an issue. Still works great. Yeah, this is going to, I think it's going to last longer than most water coolers that are on the market today. So what's left in here is just warranty and stuff. So just good to have stuff. So let's have a look at our radiator. So on the radiator, you can see right here, that's where we're going to fill it at. See that? So you just unscrew this. Now it does have a little rubber, probably a gasket, I guess it would be. So you undo that, fill it back up, and you're good to go. Okay, so once you got everything out of the package, now we can see everything that we got. Okay, they even separate everything, so you have all your AMD stuff in one package and your Intel stuff in another package. So it makes the installation that much easier. It includes cables for connecting all your fans to your power, everything like that. Your screws for mounting your fans to the radiator, and even your little booklet. The instructions in here are very, very, very good. I'm going to quickly do the AMD. I'm not going to do the Intel install, but we're going to go to the AMD, and I'm going to show you a little bit about this. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well is you will need the backplate that comes with your AMD motherboard. Okay, it's required to do the installation. So make sure you have it, or at least try and find it before you go and buy this and think, okay, I'm just going to install it, and you don't have that. Okay, if you don't have it for some reason, you've lost it or whatever happened, you didn't think you're going to ever need it again, you can go like to Amazon or something and buy them in a kit for like $7 or something. It's very, very cheap. So anyway, let's get on. Let's start talking about some more details. Let's start with showing you how this is going to go on your motherboard. So something I do want to show you is if you have an AM3 CPU, okay, you will need to use these little washers, okay, only if it's AM3. If you don't have an AM3 processor, don't use those. So before we actually go ahead and do the entire install, wanted to kind of show you a little something. So when you get a normal AMD motherboard, you're going to have these brackets, and of course behind them you're going to have your back plate, and they're fastened on with two screws on each side. Okay, and then you're going to need to remove both of these. Okay, and then you're going to have the back plate that's there, so you're going to probably need to hold it or secure it somehow, and then that's what it's going to look like after you put it on. But basically these are going to go over top of the mounting things that are there. This is going to go up on top. Okay, of course spread out. Okay, fasten it on. Put your screws into the one that says AM4. The ones on the inside are for AM3. And then you'll fasten it down, and then this will go on there. But we'll show you that later on. But I just wanted to kind of go over that real quick, just in case you're in a hurry and you just want to know how it goes on. So we will go in depth on showing that though, so stay tuned. Okay, so our next step, make sure you pick your 4 screws, okay, the longer ones. Okay, it's got the little Phillips head. Okay, and we're going to mount our fans. Mount the fans against close to the pump with this part here, okay? And you're going to mount them where these holes are. So I put mine on here so that the cable is closest to the middle. Same thing I'm going to do with this one. So all we got to do, get the first one in, line it up, and just start it off. And do that for all 4 corners. So finish your screws, take your other one, line it up with the holes, fasten that down. That's our first step. In case anybody's wondering, these are PWM cables, all right? So 4-pin. So it's at this point that we would normally put it in a case. I am going to do that, but I wanted to explain the cables first, because that's the part that can really trip people up, and I want to go over it. So you've got your pump cable and the one from your, okay, your one that goes on your CPU cooler. Okay, you got those two cables. You're going to use this cable here. You're going to connect the two of them. Okay, so you're going to connect the pump and the one from your pump here first. So line this up. It's going to go in. All right. So make sure that this little tab is lined up with this, and it'll go in. Okay. That's it. Okay, that's what it's going to look like. And same thing for this one here. Rinse and repeat. Okay, so put it on. That explains your cables. And of course, this is going to plug into a SATA connector for your power. All right. Once you got that out of the way, then you have your two for your fans. And that's what your other connector's for. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. I'm just showing you this before we install it, just so you have an idea of what happens with them. So line that one up, push it in, and do the same thing with the other one. Okay, line them up, push them in, and that one's going to go to your motherboard, all right, to a fan header. Okay, so that is all the cables. And that, I think, just knowing that part will make this so much easier for you. Because all we're left to do now, put this in our case, whether we want to put it front mounted, top mounted. This is going to go on where we put our bracket, which I am going to show you the installation of, don't worry. And then put our thermal paste on, hook everything up, and we're good to go. So I'm going to disconnect all this now. We're going to go and do the installation. And when I hook up these, you already know what I'm doing. So a few things I want to mention. So the pump here is a doubly decoupled pump, which runs smooth and silent. Okay, so it's effectively dampening the pump, which causes even less noise, which and minimal vibration, which of course is what Be Quiet is known for. Now the refill port, of course, is easy to access, and by that it makes it easy to complete the refilling process. But you will have to remove it in order to refill it. So every couple of years, you're going to have to take it out, do some maintenance, fill it back up, and go like that. Now, it is warranted for 3 years. So technically, it probably would run for 3 years before you need to, but they do recommend refilling it in 2 years' time. And now, of course, the CPU cooler here itself is an all-black design, okay, with a white LED, so this illuminates. And of course, your the back of it, the back plate is aluminum, and the styling block, which of course this is going to result in a very cool, I think, quite unique look. So something else is just mention the back plate there again. So the base material or the finish is copper with nickel plating, and of course the pump speed for here is 5,500 RPM. And that pump connector and the LED connector that I showed you, those are both 3-pin. So let's get on with the installation. Okay, so I wanted to show you a little bit of an easier method to hold the back plate in. So what I did is the brackets that are on here, you're going to have to remove them. So I took off the one on this side, mounted the bracket that goes on, okay, so it's going to screw into the same two holes on this side. So I put it on here. That will allow me to take this one off and then put the other one on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what that's going to do is let you take it right off, get it out of the way. Then you can take your other bracket, like this one, put it on this side with your little washers, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we'll have this on there. We're not going to mount anything on it yet because we still have to put our radiator on. So I'm going to do this first. Then I'm going to show you where the radiator is going to go. So now that I've taken it off, you can see how this one is now holding that one up, which makes it easier for me to put my brackets on. So we got this bracket here, And when you look at it, I just want to show you this. So when you look at your bracket, your AM4, now it has a little arrow pointing to it. So your AM4 here and your AM4 here. So take this little piece here, point it inward. So you're going to set it down on top of there, but first you need these little pieces. So it's going to go right over top of it. Now it only goes one way for some reason. Well, okay, so just set it on there. Set the other one on here. Now you're ready to just set your bracket in place. Okay, so see the way it's going to go? Now, I'm going to do one screw at a time just because that'll help me set it on. Just tighten it a little bit because you want to line the other one up. Okay, so don't worry about it too much, but okay, just put it down a little bit. Just enough to hold it in place. Okay, this is going to allow you to move this one over a little bit to line up with the hole. And then you put your other screw in. So take your screw, drop her down, and now you can tighten it too. So I'm just going to take my Be Quiet here. I'm just going to line it up for now and see what happens. Let's see what we get when I try and line it up. So let's see here. So it's going to go like that. That's how it'll look. Okay, so it's lining up with those holes perfectly. Don't forget, I'm not doing this yet because you will need to put thermal paste down first. But that just tells us that we're lined up with the holes. All right, see, it's not even moving. So take that back out. Now we're going to mount our radiator. Okay, so first I had the fans on the inside here. And then I realized that just doesn't seem to work that well, because you're going to have the fans blowing the hot air from inside into the radiator, and that didn't seem right to me. So you want to take the fresh, cooler air from the outside, put it against the radiator, and have that circulate, which makes a lot more sense to me. But first I didn't really know how to do that, so put the fans on. They actually line up with these holes that are in your radiator to be screwed in. So once you put them through here, they'll go into there, everything will be good. So I got the one fan on here. I'm going to put the other one on afterward. Feed the cables through the sides. There's openings on the sides to feed your cables through. One here and one on the top. They'll go around the back, and then you'll be able to tidy up your cables. So top fan here, bottom fan on the bottom. Feed your cables through, and that works much better. Okay, just something for whoever's done it or hasn't done it before, like myself, just to give you some advice. Now, normally if you were doing this from the top, however, you would need those little screws, okay, that would fasten down, because you'd have these on the inside, then you'd have to fasten this, all right? So if you were going to do this with the fans on the inside, for whatever reason, you'd fasten these on the inside, and then you'd still have to tighten these down to hold the radiator in place, all right? Just things I want to point out. Putting the big screws in, okay, the big long ones, okay, these ones here. Okay, I just fed them all the way through. Fasten them into where these are. The next one's going to go there, here, here, and here, and then we'll be done. And then we'll just hook it up. Okay, so our fans are on. So 4 long screws here, 4 on the bottom. It's not going anywhere. And so I put our cables out this side. So here's our 2 cables. So you're going to connect them up with the splitter they provide. So just make sure that these line up. Goes in. Same thing with the other one. Just make sure it lines up with that little tab. And it's in. And then this one plugs into your motherboard. Okay, so a fan header. Okay, so we have now, this one is our SATA for our power. So you find a SATA cable and plug that one in. All right, and make sure you line up the L. Okay, make sure you got it there, and it just pops in. We have this cable here. All right, so that's going to go into our connector. I'll show you that here in just a second. Because that's going to be, I'm just going to turn this around. So the only other thing we have left is this connector here for the LED. So this connector for the LED, once we have this put on, we'll feed it up and plug that into the other remainder of that cable. First we have to take off this plate, put some thermal paste on here, line that up, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. First I'm just going to do the thermal paste. I'm going to set it down flat and so you can see it better and so we can connect it easier. Okay, so we're going to put on our thermal paste. It's the one that they supplied, so I'm going to go ahead and use what they gave me. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little pea size. There we go. Okay, that's it. That will spread out, don't worry about it. Now we're going to put on our water cooler over our CPU and tighten it down. So that is where we have to take this, line up these screws. Don't forget to take this off. Alright? So, peel that off. And now we're going to put her on. That one's on, so we're gonna tighten her down. Okay, so start with this one, so I get something locked in place. You can feel it going in right away. Now we're gonna switch to the other side. Okay, same thing with this one. All right, I'm just gonna tighten it, finish the rest of the way. And go back one more time to this way. Okay, tighten her down. Okay, you'll feel it stop when it's done. And then go back to the other side and just finish it. So once it's done, it'll just stop. And that's it. So now we're going to set it up, hook up our cables, the ones that are remaining, and we'll go from there. So I took our LED cable, brought it through the back. We're going to plug it into the only remaining one here. Okay, line up the tabs again. And plug it in. All our cables are now connected. Okay, our SATA is connected. So obviously we have to do some cable management. But that's not the important thing right now. What is important is seeing what it looks like afterward. So I'm going to figure out what I can do with these cables. I don't like that they stick up the way they do. So, I mean, it's okay. They're going down. So that's not a problem. But I would like it to be, I don't know. I'll have to come up with something else maybe. But anyway, for now, it's functional. Still have to put our graphics card in. That's what these cables have been. And then we'll fire it up and see what it looks like. Okay, so first I just wanted to show you that our fans are spinning. Our fan in the back is spinning. So let's have a look at that CPU cooler. Okay, so everything in the fan, I showed you the fans. You can see it's lit up. And you can see the inside. And as I turn it, you can see how it's lit up on the inside here. So disregard that. I'll have a green scheme, just a green theme, just to make it look better. And this white that's all it lights up. And changing everything up here, having the fans on the inside here, like basically in here, it gives you more room if you need to put your graphics card in. So anyway, I've got a fan up here, a fan here, all both running. You saw the ones running in here. Our water cooler is going, looks great, and even more important, I can't even hear it. I thought I heard like a trickle or something when I first turned it on, but I couldn't hear anything. So the other thing that's probably more important than even that is what temps are we getting? So let's have a look. So looking here, you can see on the very top, okay, CPU temperature is 27. We're getting an average of 27.6 Celsius. All right, so definitely working really well. So there you have it. Okay, so I just did want to show you a quick temperature test under 100% load. It got to about 51, never topped 52. So just so you know, because I know that would be something that's of interest to people. And yeah, that's after about 5.5 minutes, going at 6 minutes. And it never went above 52. In fact, it dropped back down to 51. So one more thing I wanted to show you is I took the pump and the cables and I just pushed them down a little bit, just to push them down further so I had more of a slope. So it goes down, goes up, comes through the LED, well, CPU cooler, and comes back up through the pump, goes through our rad, and circulates and keeps on going that way. So we got good temperatures. I know the CPU is only the Ryzen 3 3100, but that's what I had, so that's what I used it on. It looks super cool. This is the GTX 1080 in here, and you can see I have lots of room for putting in a much bigger card. Lots of room on the bottom. So this is the B450M DS3H motherboard, just in case you're wondering as well. So overall, the cost of this whole thing was not that much, especially given that Be Quiet sent me this, the water cooler, and of course the case. So how can I go wrong? All right, everybody, so explain the cables twice. So I hope you picked up on that and don't have any problems with that part. Overall, this went pretty well. I did have some trouble figuring out where the radiator was going to go, where the fan's situated. Had to move around a couple times, then finally it clued on me. Oh, put them in the front. Basically, you're hiding it, but it's still pulling air in from the front into your radiator. So you have fresher air going in. I have the rear exhaust fan. So anyway, that's it. Temperatures are good. You'll be seeing it sitting here because that's where it's going. So stay tuned. Hope you like that video. If you like it, hit that like. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Hit that bell for future notifications. Remember, very quiet. Never had any issues. I did run into one problem. At first, it did not light up. That little white ring that goes around, nothing. And I'm like, did I break it somehow? No. That cable that comes with it, when you go to put it in, it doesn't quite go all the way in. So you have to kind of give it a little extra push. Probably just me. But anyway, if you run into that situation and you don't know why it's not turning on, check that out. That should help you out. So, think about subscribing if you're new here. Stay tuned for the next video. Hope you like this one. Thanks for watching.